A very good morning to all of you. I wholeheartedly welcome all of you to this e-Pathshala of Sadhguru Gadge Maharaj College, Karad, an autonomous college. It is indeed a pleasure to greet you at this virtual platform. And today, we are going to begin our journey of the academic activities virtually. The students of BA Part 3, aiming to specialize in English, they have 5 special papers. This is going to be semester number 5, and after the completion of the 5th semester, the students, you'll enter the 6th semester. Along with these 5 papers, you'll be having one compulsory component as a compulsory paper, that is English for communication. And all the 5 papers, they address various genres, various movements in literatures in English. The paper which I'm going to deal with from today onwards is going to be very interesting. I'm quite sure that doing this particular paper, you will definitely enjoy, you definitely understand various things about the world of language and linguistics. Paper number 11, prescribed for you by this college affiliated to Shivaji University, Kolhapur, is entitled Language and Linguistics. Language and Linguistics, this is the title of the paper. The same title will continue in the 6th semester, though it's going to be changed in the paper number. It is going to be paper number 16 in the 6th semester. So paper number 11 for the 5th semester for the students of BA specializing in English is Language and Linguistics. There are going to be 4 modules. These 4 modules are language and communication, this is module number 1. Module number 2, it is phonology. Module number 3, it is morphology. And module number 4, it is syntax. So these are the 4 modules we are going to cover in the 5th semester doing paper number 11 entitled Language and Linguistics. And these 4 modules, module number 1, Language and Communication, 2nd module, Phonology, the 3rd module, Morphology, and the 4th module is the Syntax. So all these 4, all these units, all these modules, we are going to study in a very systematic manner pertaining to the prescriptions that have been given by the Shivaji University, Kolhapur. In this lecture, we are going to highlight or we need to understand certain things about language and linguistics. So before we get into the technicalities of language, before we get into the intricacies of language and linguistics, it is very important to understand about certain objectives. Why we are doing this particular course? What are the objectives that have been defined by the authorities, by the academia, which we are going to ensure doing this paper in the next couple of semesters. So the course objective, this is going to be the first important things that we need to address. How we are going to be benefited by studying this paper called Language and Linguistics. The objective behind doing this paper, Language and Linguistics, are many. The first one, to make students familiar with the world of language and linguistics, to inform students about the functioning of language, to orient students about the production of speech sounds using the language. Students will be informed to understand about words, word formation processes, and finally, the students will be able to understand about the syntax of language. So these are the course objectives which we are going to ensure doing this paper. So when we think about the world of language and linguistics, there are so many things come to our mind. Language has been with us. We have been using language for various occasions. But here, as the students of English, we are going to specialize the system of language and the discipline of linguistics. We are not going to undertake the thorough study of the language and linguistics. What we are going to do, dealing with language and linguistics, is to just understand some of the basic things about language and linguistics, some of the basic intricacies of language and linguistics. So when we think about language and linguistics, they are one and the same. They are interdependent. Language and linguistics, though these are the two different branches, but they have so many things in common. Is there any relation? Is there any difference between language and linguistics? Yes. As we know, language is a source of communicating our ideas. I feel that we are extremely blessed to have been given this notion of language. I am reminded of a very famous statement made by a great philosopher called Descartes. In one context, he says, thanks to language, man has become man. Since the inception of the human life on this planet, there have been so many different theories that argue, that address, that question the mysterious nature of life. I would like to refer to the famous theory of evolution propounded by Charles Darwin. In the mid-19th century, he proposed the theory of evolution, which has revolutionized the world of letters, the world of intelligentsia. Up till that time, whatever the notions, whatever the convictions, prepositions that were there about life, about the origin of human life, they have been falsified by the proposition of this origin of species. And he put forward the theory which he has conducted in a very systematic manner. After putting around 28 years of his curious study, he proposed the theory of evolution, in the book, The Origin of Species. And there he stated that the human life is evolved, is an evolution. So when we think about evolution, so evolution is a process of change. But this change is dynamic. The human life has gone through various phases since the inception, in the form of amoeba that belong to protozoa class. So ever since the proposition of the theory of evolution, the scientific temperament became the thought of the day. So everybody, whether he is a philosopher, a logician, or literary man of letters, so all these people, they started looking at the things in a very rational way. They started doubting over the things. They started building up hypotheses. They started putting their efforts in investigation, in exploration, in experimentation. So the world after the mid-19th century, after the proposition of the theory of evolution, has been changed radically. So the study of language is also one of the byproducts, I would say, that took place in the 19th century. So the grammarians, the linguists started looking at the language in a more rational way, in a more systematic way, in a more scientific way. Up till the mid-19th century, there was a belief among the people. There are some biblical references one can give. It states that how this human life, the world, was created by God. God is the creator. One fine day, God woke up. He was in a very pleasant mood. And he declared, "Let there be land." There was land. "Let there be ocean." There was ocean. "Let there be stars, trees, birds." And accordingly, he would have said, "Let there be language." There was language. The notion of language was very much taken for granted up to the mid-19th century. So with the evolution of this theory of evolution, many things which were commonly believed, commonly based on the mysterious nature, they have been falsified, and people started looking at the things in a more radical manner, in a more rational manner. So from the mid-19th century, in reality, the study of language, like all other disciplines, it started emerging in a more systematic and comprehensive way. So when we think about language, it is a system, it is a source of communication, it is a source of communicating our ideas, emotions, feelings, desires. And there are other ways of communication. The other ways of communications are dance, music, gestures, what we call the paralinguistic features. In our day-to-day life, we also make use of this unconventional method of communication without using a single word, without using any of the linguistic and codes. So in this context, dance, music, facial expressions, so all of these things also evoke our sense of feelings, our emotions and desires. Michael Halliday in 1965 he said that language is an activity. And this activity comprises of 4 skills. 4 skills. And these 4 skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So Michael Halliday in 1965 in one of his books said that language is an activity, and this activity comprises of 4 skills. The first is listening, the second is speaking, third it is reading, and the fourth it is writing. So these are the 4 skills that one needs to acquire to be in a position to use the language. We use the language because we have acquired these 4 basic skills of language learning. The first, which is very important, which occupies the primary position in the list of the skills: listening. So listening is a very, what you call, sophisticated activity. One has to be careful, one has to listen to whatever is being spoken patiently. So listening comes first. Then we acquire the system of producing sounds, the system of organizing sounds, a system of transmitting those sounds, which ultimately meet the goal of communication. So listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So it is not a gift of God. It is something that's been there as it has been evolved. It's been there right from the inception of human life. There are references. We can get into the books of anthropology, and we can affirm that when man started living, or when he evolved, or he started living with his fellow members in a very desolate land, in a forest. So he is a community-oriented animal. So sociologically, it is said that human being is a social animal. The sense of animalism is there. But I would like to refer to my earlier quote of Descartes: thanks to language, that man has become man. So language has proved to be a civilizing force. It is the language that has defined this existence, the meaningful existence. It is the language which has given the human being an opportunity to explore so many things which were not known. So in this context, we say that language is a vital source of communication. It is an activity, and this activity comprises of 4 skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So when we think about the various definitions that have been given by grammarians, linguists, I would like to refer to one of the interesting definitions. It is being given by Edward Sapir. Edward Sapir says that language primarily is a primarily human. He says that language is primarily human. It means that it is only with the human beings that language is an affair. All other animals, they do not have language. They do have their system of communication. It is only with the human beings that it is only this activity that the human beings are very much proud of. So in this context, it is primarily human, non-instinctive method of communication. He says that language is primarily human, a non-instinctive method of communicating our ideas, emotions, desires by means of a system of voluntarily produced sounds. So when we look at this definition, it clarifies all the notions of language. The first one, it is primarily human. Second, non-instinctive, it is not inherited. It is not been with our birth, since our birth. It is not inherited. It is non-instinctive method of communication. Communication of ideas, emotions, feelings, desires. How? By means of voluntarily produced sounds. So there are 3 important things in the definition. The first one, it is primarily human. Second, it is non-instinctive method of communication. And the third, by means of voluntarily produced sounds. There are n number of definitions, but this is one of the definitions which clearly brings to our mind the notion of language in a more systematic manner. Another linguist, Henry, says that language is an expression. Language is an expression of ideas by means of words. By means of words. So this definition, it is also comprehensive. That language is an expression of ideas by means of words. There are many books available in the library. There are books, online books available for you, which you can go through, which you can refer to for various definitions. But as the students of language and linguistics, this is what I think. These two definitions are important to understand about the language as a system of communication. And there are some characteristics. When we think that language is not a gift that given by God, so it is marked with various characteristics. Language is a sign system. It is a sign system. This is something new to you, right? Sign system. In the 20th century, the world of linguistics has been radically changed. It has been changed because of the radical contribution made by various linguists. One of the linguists I would like to quote here is Ferdinand de Saussure. Ferdinand de Saussure. He was a Swiss linguist, and his contribution to the world of linguistics is very much talked about. Even today, it is being referred to as a polemic work. So he has proposed the theory of structuralism, where he has given the structural intricacies of language. He says that language is a sign system, and this sign comprises of two elements: the linguistic sign, signifier, and the signifier. Signifier and the signifier. Sign comprises of two components, the signifier and the signifier. Signifier is the vehicle, and signified is something as we call a meaning. It is a vehicle. For example, the word dog when you say D-O-G, dog, when we write it, it is D-O-G, and when we speak, it is G. So the word that we scribe as a dog, D-O-G, and the word we pronounce as an utterance, that is dog, comprising of three phonemes, D, O, G, they are the signifier. And when we listen to the pronunciation, or when we listen to this utterance, we get an image in our mind. What he says is the signifier. So just for the sake of reference, I am telling you that language is a sign system. The linguistic signs, the phonics, phonemic, syllabic, and these are the signs that we use in establishing our communication in spoken as well as written form. The second one, that language is always in a state of flux. Language is always in a state of flux. It changes. It is dynamic. It goes on changing. And this context, it is in a state of flux. It is dynamic. It is culture preserving and transmitting agency. It is creative. In one sense, you can say that by using the linguistic conventions, we can create n number of constructions. Displacement, this is a very important feature of language. I mean, through the language, with the use of language, not only we talk about or write about the things which take place in the present, but you can talk about those things which we have lived earlier or will be living in the future. So this notion is called displacement. The next one, it is duality of patterning. Language has duality of patterning. The phonic patterning and the graphic patterning. So today we have learnt about language. We have learnt about language as a system of communication. It is a source of communication. It is a source of communicating our ideas, emotions, feelings, desire. We understood that language is an activity, and this activity comprises of 4 important skills called listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And we have concentrated on a very sophisticated definition elaborated by Edward Sapir, who says that language is primarily human, a non-instinctive method of communicating our ideas, emotions, desires by means of voluntarily produced sounds. Another linguist, Henry, says that language is an expression of ideas by means of words. And there are some of the important characteristics of language. That language is purely human. It is non-instinctive. It is vocal. The writing as a system was developed much later. What came first was the speech. So speech is primary, writing is secondary. So we say that language is vocal, language is dynamic, it goes on changing. Whoever who uses the language, he or she adds something new to the language. And that's why we have n number of varieties of the same language. So whatever the languages that we know, like Marathi, Hindi, English, German, Sanskrit, Latin, these are just the labels. In reality, what exists are the different varieties of these languages. And language gets affected by so many factors. It goes on varying, variation. It brings in variation. The geographic factor, the social aspect, economic status. So these are some of the prominent things that bring in variation in language. And it gives birth to different linguistic, you can say, conventions called dialect, registers, so on and so forth. So, to sum up, language is primarily human, language is vocal, language is non-instinctive, method of communication, language is dynamic, language is always in a state of flux. It is a culture preserving and culture transmitting agency. Language is creative. Language is open-ended. Means there are no boundaries set for language. As long as we like to explore the language so much, we can explore. Language permits many conventions. With the use of these conventions, we can create n number of constructions. So, I hope you must have really enjoyed listening to this presentation. And as the time goes on, we will be addressing some more things, some more modules of our prescribed syllabus. So, thank you very much for your patient listening. Thank you very much.